Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning, khushamdi, ji ayanu, goedemorgen, ispata.
Bakhair agale, ni hao, churushumme, washmale, ohio gonzaimes, guten morgen, hola, boyor, privyet, kaifa hal, hale shuma chatore, ahlan wasalan marhaba, buna, mucho, gracias, suavia, bhalli kare aaya, ispata, marhaba, and thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning into PTV World. You're watching World this morning on a very fine, very amazing Friday morning over here in Islamabad. With me, I have the very amazing, the very talented, the very knowledgeable Miss Shiza Hashmi, and I happen to be Shahzad Hasan Khan. Hello Shiza, how are you doing today?
I'm doing absolutely great. Thank you so much for asking. And well, Jummah Mubarak to you
Jummah
and
Mubarak.
all our lovely audiences out there as well. I hope you guys have an amazing day. Do not forget to recite a lot of Durood Sharif today.
Exactly,
It
that's
does
very
pay you, I
important,
tell
ladies
you.
and gentlemen. And whenever you raise your hands in the Bargah of Allah Almighty, please make sure that you remember us and our entire team as
Please.
well. Not just on Friday, every
Every
single
day,
day. I think everybody's
absolutely.
supposed to do that. Because I know as Muslims we take Jummah very seriously,
Yeah.
but I think every prayer needs to be taken seriously as well, ladies and gentlemen. If you really want to succeed over here and the life after this world as well, ladies and gentlemen, please make sure that you do that as well.
Yeah.
But today, I think, Shiza, that it's one of those days where I'm just very happy because of the kind of program we're going to do, you know,
Yeah.
or the kind of program we have planned as well, that we will be the first ones to actually talk about it on television as well. And this is something which our Prime Minister, Mr. Imran Khan, has dreamt of.
Absolutely. Sorry, I had to take a breath before speaking. But here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, without giving it away already,
Yeah.
let me just say, what we are going to talk about today is actually a gift to Pakistanis.
Exactly.
And most literally so. So, Shahzad, do you remember before PTI actually came into being the incumbent government right now,
Yeah.
Imran Khan Saab in his speeches always used to talk about the out-of-school children, which were 22.8 million then.
Exactly.
And he just has this immense, I feel like he feels deeply about education, about a knowledge-based economy, and about the youth, that is about 64% in Pakistan, being
Yeah.
educated.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine wasting your potential. 64% of the population just wasted because the quality of education was not nice enough. Or, well, let's say the type of education was not reaching to all the different areas of Pakistan. This was one of the things which was so close to his heart. Like, I do realize all political parties in their manifestos do put in education,
Yeah.
you know, changing the curriculum, adding XYZ to the curriculum, whatnot. But this was the first time, and I think in my lifetime, in my parents' lifetime, we actually saw it happening. You know, the curriculum actually.
I think that we'll bear witness to this as well, ladies and
Yes.
gentlemen. Not just that, I think that the most crucial part over here is that you want a leader who in the first place is a humanitarian as well.
Empathetic.
You know, yeah, empathetic, who actually feels for other people, who feels for the kind of people he's leading, ladies and gentlemen. This is something very important.
Absolutely.
But before we give it away, I think I have a very interesting incident to share, and that is that,
Please.
you know, so obviously everybody has to go to school as well, and just like anybody else, I was going to school. You know, so with prep and nursery, we had a private school right next to our street. You know, we would walk with our brothers and sisters and go and take our classes. But eventually, when I had to be promoted to grade 1, I don't know how my parents thought about you know, this girls' college in F72, which,
Yeah.
and they sent me to that girls' college for the first and the second grade. And towards the second grade, my elder sister actually spoke with my father and was like, hey, you know what, if you want him to do something better in life, you really need to change his school. I don't know why they said that. I think it's probably because of the curriculum we were going through then, or probably it was the education standard then as well. So imagine, so they took me out of a girls' college, put me into a private school, and when I went to that private school, it was so hard for me to understand what they were teaching me. So I had to come back a grade. You know, so if I was supposed to go into the second grade, I was
Right,
back
right,
in
right.
first grade as well. Which obviously I don't mind because I didn't fail the exams, ladies and gentlemen. But I had difficulty understanding coming from another background where you were being taught A for apple or B for ball, and then all of a sudden you go to
You
a
have to write
system
an
where you're
essay.
actually studying Sally, or you know, the red apple, or you know, different poems as well. Where, you know, when I was going to the girls' college, you know, my teacher didn't had any idea about Baba Black Sheep, and you know, all of these
I
poems
can't
as well.
believe
So it
it.
was very difficult for me to kind of,
Okay.
you know, cope up with the education standard.
And Shazad, you know what, this act, I'm pretty sure a lot of people can resonate with the way you told your story, because how many times have we come across people who'd be like, oh, iske achhe number nahi aaye, matric mein board change kar do, or you know, something like that. So I feel like there's a massive disparity in the quality of education being
Exactly.
disseminated to
Exactly.
children in Pakistan,
Yeah.
which is why our Prime Minister and now, of course, our President as well feels like we should be on the same page. Every child, regardless of the background they come from, they should definitely have access to quality education, the same standard, right?
Exactly. So, ladies, I think you have pointed out very rightly as well that, the entire government, actually, ladies and gentlemen, with that, is on one page as well, and this is something we want, not just our Prime Minister. Obviously, our Prime Minister is that visionary who actually brought this idea to the table, but the entire team needs to come out with a plan as well, and the plan is very well sorted. We are going to see the implementation of the single national curriculum. Finally, the President of Pakistan, Dr. Arif Alvi Saab, had to say so many good things about it as well. Not just that, I think that everybody kind of agrees to it as well. So imagine that, on February 24th, President Dr. Arif Alvi Shiza has called for removing disparity among different streams of education in the country by ensuring implementation of single national curriculum.
And isn't it amazing, because he realizes that, and while realizing, he said that the focus of our education system should be on character building and promoting critical and creative thinking among students. And that is something we did lack, actually.
And that's not the only thing he said. He even stated that this is at a briefing that given by Ministry of Federal Education and Professional Training at Ivan Sadr. The meeting was attended by Minister for FE and PT, Mr. Shafqat Mahmood, Minister for Science and Technology, Chaudhry Fawad Hussain, Minister for Human Rights, Dr. Shiri Mazari, Minister of State for Parliamentary Affairs. So imagine that everybody was there. So this truly shows, because all of these ministers, Shiza, represent their own halkas, so they represent their own areas, they represent their own people. So all of them being together means that Pakistan is on the same
right track.
They're on one platform as well. And this is something which was required from the last 73 years, ladies and gentlemen.
Absolutely.
Because imagine that, if you were in conversation with a boy probably of 5th grade, from federal board, I think we'll have a very different mindset from a boy somewhere in Sakkar, or probably, if we talk about Sindh board or Punjab board, there was disparity. And when we talk about, single national curriculum, ladies and gentlemen, it's not just for the schools, it's for the madarases as well.
Yes,
and,
so important.
Everybody was on board. May it be the people from university, may it be people from private schools, may it be people from public schools as well. So imagine, Pakistan is going to be in the right direction, and that too without a divide.
Absolutely. Let's just take a look at what our education minister has to say about this. And then when we come back, let's start our conversation with the very apt panel of guests we have over here in the studio.
The team, ladies and gentlemen.
The team behind it, absolutely.
Let's go ahead and take a listen.
Let's do it.
आज का दिन हमारे लिए बहुत ही अहम और बहुत ही सिग्निफिकेंट दिन है। यहाँ पे जो हम करने चले हैं वो कोई मामूली काम नहीं, वो बहुत बड़ा काम है। जब हमारी हुकूमत बनी उससे बहुत पहले हमारी जमात ने, प्राइम मिनिस्टर इमरान खान, हम हमेशा सोचते थे कि ये हमारी कौम जो है वो बिखरी हुई है, कौम जो है वो तकसीम हुई। इस हद तक सोच का, जहन का, नजरिए का फर्क है कि अगर आप एक तबके को दूसरे तबके के साथ बिठा दें तो शायद गुफ्तगू भी जो है वो सही तरीके से ना हो सके।
तो मैं समझता हूँ कि पाकिस्तान की तारीख ये बदलने वाली है। शायद ये क्रेडिट मोहतरम जनाब वज़ीर-ए-आज़म इमरान खान साहब को जाएगा कि जिन्होंने एक ऐसे इशू पे जिस पे कभी हम बात भी नहीं करते थे, कौमी निसाब और सरकारी स्कूलों की हद तक आगे, लेकिन उन्होंने कहा कि हम पूरी कौम के लिए काम करें, क्योंकि बच्चे जो हैं वो पूरी कौम के हैं और वो बच्चे पाकिस्तान के हैं, और सबका एक हक है कि उनके दरमियान जो डिस्पैरिटीज़ हैं उनको ख़त्म किया जाए।
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are truly talking about one nation, one curriculum. Ladies and gentlemen, we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by the entire team. Well, not really the entire team, but the people who've actually pioneered and made sure that, that they're going to bring it to Pakistan, they're going to give it to Pakistan, they're going to make sure that the manifesto of PTI will actually be in true colors within their tenure as well. So this is something which we were looking for as well for a longer period of time, single national curriculum. Let's see, ladies and gentlemen, who do we have over here in the studios with us? He actually happens to be the Joint Educational Advisor at NCC. Ladies and gentlemen, he is Muhammad Rafique. Tahir Saab, hello sir, Assalamu alaikum, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Because to talk about the single national curriculum, which is one of the dream of the present government.
Right,
Exactly.
absolutely.
Thank you very much for joining us, sir. It's wonderful to have you over here. And in fact, while coming towards the studio today, I was thinking that I'll actually get to learn quite a lot as well.
Right.
Because when you have, small girls at home who really have to go to school as well, you think about their future as well. So thank you very much for giving it to us. And alongside Mohammed Rafique, Tahir Saab, ladies and gentlemen, we're lucky that we've actually been joined by Assistant Educational Advisor of NCC. He is Mr. Suhail bin Aziz. Hello, Assalamu Alaikum. Good morning. Congratulations.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, ji. Congratulations to all Pakistan. The dream is becoming true now.
Right.
Long-awaited
About
destination
time.
is coming. Yeah, this is the right time.
Exactly. Thank you very much for joining us. And last but not the least, ladies and gentlemen, he actually happens to be expert on curriculum and textbooks as well from NCC. He is Asfandyar Khan Sahab. Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum. Pakhair aagale.
Assalamu alaikum, Dera Manana.
Dera Manana.
And, it's history in the making here.
Absolutely.
We are talking about history in the making, and I'm very pleased to be a part of it and honored to be a part of it.
Wonderful.
All right, so if I could just begin the conversation,
Sure, why not?
Shahzad, with
Ladies
Mr.
first.
Thank you so much. With Mr. Rafique over here, sir, we do know definitely the vision of the Prime Minister. But the realization is something different than the vision, right? Let us know how it came about. I mean, how long did it take? And what was, because I know that you, after this was all created, you were also presenting to different ministers and whatnot.
Yeah.
What was their take on it?
First of all, I would like to thanks to this team of this morning show, because I always observe this show so many times,
Yeah.
and you always have the excellent topic which you select.
Thank you so much.
And very you see informative things you normally give the people of this country in the morning.
Thank
in the
you,
morning especially.
Din ban gaya, sir, aaj
Yeah.
hamara.
So you see, I'm with the ministry from last around 30 years in the Ministry of Federal Education and Ministry of Education. This was one of the dream for the people of Pakistan.
Yes.
And each and every political party from the beginning of this country, they promised that we will give one single national curriculum. Unfortunately, we have the national curriculum, but not a single national curriculum in this country. So that was, you see, people like me who think that let's do something which stay in this country and for the long time, and people remember that Mr. So-and-so, people so-and-so, political parties, so they have done this remarkable things in the country.
Exactly.
Single national curriculum also one of the very, you see, very close to my heart.
Yes.
But unfortunately, I work for the national curriculum, but not the single national curriculum. And that was a very good and pleasing day when the Prime Minister Imran Khan called us in the cabinet meeting, and we made a short presentation on the education system of Pakistan. What he concluded,
Yeah.
he said, the Honorable Federal Minister, Mr. Shafkat Mahmood, Shafkat Saab, I need only one thing. We may not deliver the so many things, but one thing we have to deliver, and that we have to remove the disparity in education,
So important.
injustice in education. At least we have to give the one single national curriculum to all the children of Pakistan.
Amazing.
The Constitution says we must have this just system
Basic
for all
right.
the children. So you see, at the moment in the country, we have the three streams of education.
Yes.
The public sector education, along with the low-cost private school, they are contributing a lot, around 94+%. The students are the part of this system. And second system, which is the foreign certification schools, again they are contributing around 1.7% of the total student population. And the third is the Dini Madaris. They are also catering a lot number of the students, around 4.3% of the total student population. So these three different streams have the different destinations.
Exactly.
That is true.
And if the students or the children of these three streams asked to sit down together and discuss on 2 to 3 points, which I did. Unfortunately, they cannot sit for the 2 hours or 1 hour to debate on the one topic, because their mindset, you see, the line of action, the curriculum, the things which they are taught in their respective education institutions, they're totally different. So if three different mindset in the country, and how we can claim we are one nation? Nobody can say.
That is
we
true.
can't say one nation.
Exactly, but from now on, today onwards, I think that we can say that.
So therefore, you see, our slogan is one nation,
nation, one
one
curriculum.
curriculum.
One curriculum,
So
absolutely.
the Honorable Prime Minister is leading himself this campaign of the single national curriculum. Very noble thing. And the Honorable Shafqat Mahmood Sahab, the Federal Minister for Education, he is making this dream and converting this dream in reality.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that, and nobody can think even in 72 years. So many times people thought that we must have a single national curriculum, but no. Things was even not started, not initiated, but they not only initiated, and it make now it a reality. And you see, credit go to the Prime Minister of Pakistan, the Honorable Minister, and you see, you have seen, you just shown the Honorable President, how the Prime Minister, the President, the Minister of Education, and all Pakistan, all provinces, all education, you see the department of this country, even the private sector, the Dini Madaris. So everybody is on board today, and they all are talking about the single national curriculum.
Wonderful, sir. And you know, the best part over here is that everybody came together for that one curriculum as well. You know, so I think that we can put it this way as well. But I want to move on to Suhail sir over here. Shazad, you want to say something?
Shazad, don't you feel like, I mean, of course it doesn't happen overnight. There must have been a lot of research gone into it and a lot of months just taken, a lot of stakeholderism, right?
Yeah, that's very true. And you know, I think that Muhammad Rafique Tahir sahab has actually hit the nail on the head by saying that, you know, each and every political party which came into power dreamt of it.
Talked about it, didn't even dream.
So no, they only dreamt about it and only talked about it. You know, that's what I'm going to say, because that's how they say it in Urdu as well. Amli jama banana. I think that they've done it. And you know, for 3 years, you only got 3 years to be in the government, not that complete 3 years as well, and that you have achieved such a major goal. I think is something which really everybody needs to applaud. Yeah, it is commendable. But I want to move on to Suhail sahab over here. Sir, before we actually talk about the objective behind this one nation, one curriculum or single national curriculum, there's one more thing which I would love to talk about, and that is that we are talking about single national curriculum from grade 1 till 8th grade, right? That's if that's correct. 5th, okay, so 12th, okay, 12th. But while we were conversing before the show, you told us that, okay, so
there's phases.
So there are phases. One, we want to know about that as well, you know, how these phases are going to get along. And that for all of those students who are actually studying, for example, if somebody's in grade 4, or grade 5 or grade 6 for that matter. So if they're going to promote it to the next grade, they will then automatically be shifted to the single national curriculum, or they will have to go through the way they're going already?
Thank you very much. As Rafique Tahir Sahab just said, I mean, congratulations for these programs. You know, I mean, these programs are basically on health and education, and we don't see so much coverage on health and education in our mainstream media normally. Mainstream channels, so congratulations for that.
Thank you so much.
Secondly, when it comes to single national curriculum, no curriculum can be just developed in isolation, so it's always, you know, construction of something available. So 2006 curriculum was the base, and then there were certain studies, I mean, it was checked for example, compatibility with 21st century, and then compatibility with the global curricula that are available, for example, all over the world. If you see in Pakistan, it's very famous, the Cambridge curriculum. So there was a research study with Cambridge curriculum, there was another one with Singapore, because that's a model in Asia and all around the world, you know, almost #1. So these were the ones. And then phased approach, yes, that's very, very important. You cannot just implement whole curriculum from grade 1 to grade 12 in one go. So it was a very well thought out plan that it will go in 3 phases. So the first phase that we have recently finished is grade pre-1 to grade 5. So from this year, we are going to implement, this government is going to implement grade pre-1 to 5 in all schools, as Rafique have said, public schools, private schools, and Dini Madaris. And then from next year, that is 2022, academic year 2022, so it will be for 6 to 8, and 2023, that will be the phase when grade 9 to 12, so that will be implemented there. And again, in all streams of education, so it's not only for, you know, that's why it's called single national curriculum.
And you'll make sure everyone complies to that.
Yeah, obviously.
The main part
How can
is,
you make sure?
Yeah, this is the main part is, you know, federal government, again, they say, and Minister Shafqat Mahmood Sahab, again and again, he has clarified this, that we are not going to impose anything. So the point is, they are adopting it themselves, and that power comes from this thorough consultation from the very beginning, all the private schools, they were on board, and they're coming in, they're gathering with public sector experts, and they're sitting together, and they're developing this curriculum, and then they have this confidence tomorrow when they're applying it in their school, so there won't be any trouble. So in fact, it will be a cause of, removing this disparity, and people will be having, same.
So I think that, pretty much we are aware of the objectives. So it is one nation, one curriculum as well, which is why very quickly I'm going to move on to Asfandyar Saab over here, because you happen to be an expert in curricula, right? This is how we're going about you as well. Now, sir, since Suhail Saab has mentioned that, that the minister himself has actually said that, we're not going to impose it onto anybody, but we want people to adopt. And now speaking about this public-private disparity, which we've always had, let's just, not discuss what's going on within different provinces. Eventually, alhamdulillah, within all the public sectors, this will be the curriculum. That's one thing. But now the second part of the conversation is that we want private schools to come down to this as well, and they've always been looking for an extra or probably another niche, if I may so say it as well.
Yeah.
So now the problem over here is that everybody wants this curriculum to be out there, because my kids themselves are school going. If that's the same kind of education they're going to receive in a public institution, why do you think I'll be sending them to a private school?
That's true.
So how are we going to bring those private school administration to a point where they will be adopting it rather than us imposing it?
And more than the private schools, I think the issue with being rigid may lie with the Dini Madaris. Is it true? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Thank you very much. That's a very interesting question, and I think it sort of borders on the politics of it. It borders on the awareness around it, and it is basically looking into challenges. So when you say certain sectors or segments of the society are against it, take the private sector for that matter, I think this becomes a question of what is the government trying to focus on? What is the central point? And if quality is the central point, then I don't think there's a lot of space for criticism on those grounds.
Exactly.
So far as your question relating to whether private schools have to bring their quality down, absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not. Like Suhail mentioned just now, there were 3 countries selected. Their curricula were thoroughly studied. Singapore, Cambridge, we looked at Malaysia as well, by the way.
Okay.
And we sort of contrasted their curriculum with ours, and we did a mapping and saw where the gaps were.
Were there similarities?
Yeah, there were a ton of similarities. Actually, Cambridge came back to us. We were in dialogue with them. They came back to us and said, look, in certain areas, your curriculum is way too heavy.
Okay.
Yeah?
Okay.
So we are actually exposing our children to a lot of content. And that's not necessarily a good thing, right?
Okay.
But since we covered everything that they covered, apart from some things that do not work in our context, we looked at the curriculum to tone it down a little bit.
All right.
And also there was this drive to move from content knowledge to application, to real life relatability, to giving those skills to students, to enable them to become good global citizens.
Right,
I mean, come on, who has tried that before in Pakistan?
Absolutely. I like
so with things like that, just these emerging international trends, we are looking at sustainable development goals. They have been thoroughly integrated into the curriculum in subject areas where they belonged.
And to begin with, leaving no one behind.
Exactly.
Right.
So quality, I think, if one sort of focuses on that and looks at a minimum criteria for quality that everyone is to adhere to, for the public sector, that means going up. For the private sector, it doesn't mean coming down.
Coming down, got it.
They can stay where they are, so long as they stick with the bare minimum.
Or maybe even improve for that matter.
Wonderful. And just on a very lighter note as well, because Asfandyar Sahab over here said that, who actually thought about becoming a better global citizen. So I think everybody who steps outside Pakistan, they're already standing in the queues, they're making sure they're not going to throw anything outside as well.
Absolutely.
So I think everybody is a great global citizen till the time it comes down to the point that we are actually stepping out of our own country, but it's good that we're going to teach them over here as well.
Right, but here's my question, and of course, I think Mr. Asfandyar, you may answer it, or any one of you who feels fit. So while you were revising the curriculum, or probably toning it down for that matter, Yes, it sounds good because then everyone will be on the same page. But did you integrate things that you felt with age are necessary? So for example, I'm going to quote an example of a country that I'm not going to name. So they introduced, from within 6th grade, it was compulsory for every student to learn basic coding because technology is the future, right? So did you introduce similar things in terms of, yeah, but let's not. So, so did you introduce similar things or anything new for that matter?
Okay. If I may.
Yeah,
okay. To begin with, when I said toning it down, I didn't really mean that we had to let go of any content or skill development that was absolutely necessary.
Okay.
So just to clarify
Yes,
that,
please.
yeah. So far as revision was concerned, in 2006, the curriculum that came out, which was under the Ministry of the Federal Education Ministry, we didn't have the 18th Amendment back then. That took a long while in implementation, a really long while. I think it was not till 2012 and 13 that we could actually say that the entire curriculum had come to the ground, meaning textbooks were made and they were being taught. So that being the case, and if you look at the decade and a half that has passed in between, there were certain imperatives nationally and internationally that came to the fore, which made it necessary because one of them being TIMSS, for instance, on the student level, this is basically testing students internationally in mathematics and sciences. So our students, a sample of the students were tested in that, and of course they didn't perform really well because they're competing under a system that they are not fully conversant with. They do not have those skills to take those tests and so on. So one of the reasons, for instance, looking at science and maths for that instance, was to align our content, our methodologies, our assessment techniques to that. So that they, inshallah, in the longer run, become internationally competitive. Other than that, if you look at the imperatives of the country, there's a lot of material that has been inserted under the values paradigm, what we call the values education. The values
That's interesting.
Yeah, the values education basically relates to character building and all those traits and qualities that we want in our citizens.
Exactly.
So starting from very young kids, going up to the entire ambit of schooling, ending at grade 12, there is a plethora of values that are going to be, the students are going to be exposed to, and they're built into different subject content.
Wonderful.
So they relate to integrity, honesty, truthfulness, saying no to corruption, being aware of the environment, gender concerns for that matter, very, very important, conservation of resources, and so, I mean, the list goes on. It's a very, very comprehensive.
We get the gist of it.
So which definitely means, ladies and gentlemen, that, after the implementation of single national curriculum, each and every phase, I think we're actually going to bear witness to having people or meeting people with quite a lot of empathy, people who really hold those values as well, which is very important. But sir, Rafique sir, coming back to you now, when we speak about values, we obviously have to keep in mind that we have minorities over here as well. And this very circle of value actually starts from the very basic household. And then obviously religion plays a very vital role, and there's no religion out there which actually talks about violence anyways. But keeping that in mind, obviously everybody had to be on the same page. There are different stakeholders, there are different 30 different boards over here in Pakistan. So wasn't it very challenging bringing them all together? Because now when I look at you and I look at your forehead, I can see that you've been through quite a lot.
Did you continuously have conferences and everything?
Yeah, you see, prior to this, to respond to your excellent question, that is a very pertinent question, I would like to share a very small thing.
Yes, please.
So, if somebody asks me what is the difference between the previous practices of the development of the curriculum and what is this in single national curriculum. In past, in the history of this country, we normally more emphasis only on the development of the curriculum. And then no further steps.
No
we
implementation.
develop the curriculum, some people come, develop the books, no connection with the philosophy and the objective of the curriculum. Then some people come, they develop the teacher training module, and the teachers doesn't know what was the ultimate objective of the curriculum, what was that umbrella you see, the target they have conceived in the curriculum, doesn't know the teacher. And the textbooks writer, authors, they doesn't know what type of the examples and activity we have to reflect in the book so that the target of the curriculum to be achieved. So one team, curriculum, isolated with the textbooks team, and the teacher, they have nothing to do with these two, you see, the factors. Then, and another last, most important thing, that is the assessment.
Okay.
So, and then the assessment have their own direction. So, I just precisely say that in past, these four stakeholders, they are not interconnected. They are totally disconnected in work in isolation. And this is the first time in the history of this country we said, we will give a package under the single national curriculum. We will give you the curriculum, we will give you the model books. I would like to make a point, clarify over here, the model book, which is not mandatory.
Okay.
So there are so many other textbooks will be developed by the private publisher. You can opt any books, but it must be based on the aligned with the single national curriculum objective.
Okay.
So and then the teacher training modules that is totally developed now and fully aligned with this single national curriculums. And then the most important thing, which gives you the outcome, that is the learner. And that could be only assessed with the assessment framework. So at a time we are doing curriculum, we are doing textbooks, we are working on the teacher training modules, we are working on assessment. So these four things are now interconnected, and you will see the outcome will be excellent, inshallah. But you come to your question, most important. This is again, you see, the Pakistan is a very diversified country. And we have the different culture, the people living, they have the different religions, etc. This was the one of the focus point of the single national curriculum. And being leading this activity on ground, I can claim, and I can ask anybody that come and they can ask me, okay, this is not happening what you have said in your TV program.
Wonderful. It's a challenge.
Each and every book you can see, we have the appreciation concept, tolerance concept, respect to other religion and the cultures, everywhere. Yesterday day before yesterday we are mentioning to the Honorable President of Pakistan said, sir, I was just narrating 2-3 examples. Normally in our book, we use the character names, Abdullah, yes, it's our very popular name.
Yes.
And in even the Aisha and like this.
Yes.
But now what we did, if we talk about Abdullah, the same time another friend is known as the Rajit Singh. This is available in the books, you can see. Then we can say the Samuel. We can say, so all these things were very, you see, thought about that and practically incorporated in the single national curriculum.
Sir, and one last thing, sir, since we're talking about values and norms and culture as well, and how rich we are and how diversified Pakistani community is, there's one last thing which I would love to talk about, and there's another one as well which actually just came to my head. Are we actually talking about or referring to gender equality as well?
I hope so.
No. You see, again, this is, but seeing is believing. You can see the books, but if I'm saying over here, so
seriously,
many
do not want to go back to that phase of my life. We have to see books again. But
you see, it was our focus. One of the prime prerequisite for our curriculum, national curriculum, the respect for the woman. You see, in all the heroes, and especially the girls or the females, they are the part of this books and the curriculum. Like you see in the Air Force, the Maryam, the Samina Beg. So all these characters you will see, which is the motivation for the young generation. So I think because it's a very short time, we cannot explain so many things. We have 100 points, but at least I say you will see the gender issue is not only addressed, but it is a properly, formally, excellent way it is addressed in the curriculum, in the textbooks, in the teacher training, as well as in the assessment framework.
And that is just amazing. Just listening to it is so amazing. I mean, our producer keeps telling us break lane, but this is really interesting. And Shahzad, you know, just listening to this, that when you're catering to, I mean, it's heartwarming to see where you said that you're catering to minorities by just, it's a minor act of introducing names, right? this is where the mentality part of it comes in, Shazad. All the social issues we talk about on our show, we end up saying that mentality needs to change, and this is where it begins.
Exactly.
When you talk about learning from a very basic age about there are no gender roles, everyone can do everything. That is where the mentality changed. This is where, and so it's kind of so funny because even the general public, just yesterday, a very educated woman on one of my Facebook groups wrote, is it okay if I hire a Hindu house help? And everyone was like, why is it not okay? Why is it a question you have to ask other people? So this is just an example of how the mentality works, and it will be catered to after everyone is studying the same thing.
Exactly.
Now, we have spoken about, the research that went behind. But I want you to talk about in detail. So like Sir said, you sat down students from different institutions and stuff and spoke to them about it. But what kind of research otherwise? Because when you're involving so many stakeholders, and not only on one level, there's provincial level, there's, well, tribal areas, federal level, whatnot. So what kind of research?
There were different layers of research, as the first one was obviously before starting the development of curriculum.
Okay.
And that was, that was to just align our curriculum with that model where we are not talking about only knowledge, but we are talking about skills and attitude.
Okay.
So these are the three domains which are very much there in the curriculum. And then secondly, when you involve that many stakeholders from different stratas, I mean, there is a overwhelming number of female participants are there, so they are bringing that empathy, that feeling, everything. Then private sector, the elite schools, as we call them, but they're foreign certification schools, for example. So when they're coming into it, the low-cost private schools are coming into it, the representatives of madaris are coming into it, and obviously the minorities. For example, Sir has very rightly said that names have been changed, but more than that, another thing that's happening for the first time in the country, in the history of Pakistan. Till date, we were teaching, in lieu of Islamiyat, we were teaching them a subject that was called ethics or ikhlaqiyat. So people used to say whether ikhlaqiyat is only meant for non-Muslims or so. So now that there is a huge change, and what happened for the first time, there is a curriculum for 5 minority groups, 5 religions that has been developed. So this is Christianity, this is Hinduism, this is Sikhism, Baha'is, and Kalash. So you just imagine, we just know about Kalash through, those
I've been to
videos
Kalash
and
myself,
pictures
and I
on
know that they have a very different apparatus.
yeah, so all those people, they were on board. Just imagine they're all sitting together. And similarly, while developing, Islamiyat curriculum, so all factions are sitting together. So it's not about, there are certain people who would say that this might create some intrafaith or interfaith problems, but I can tell you, with the instructions of obviously Minister Saab and Rafique Tahir Saab, I mean, he ensures it too much that inclusion is there, and every point of view is coming in, and then they're sitting together and they're saying what they want to, but at the end, when they're deciding something, when they're signing a document, that is always with consensus. It's not like majority vote or something. So it's a consensus thing. They finish with the bare minimum.
Okay.
So they talk about what are the commonalities. They don't talk about differences.
Right.
So if there is a difference between anything, so they can sort out at their homes.
And
School
And
is
the
not
kind
to
of-
promote differences.
The kind of respect they must be feeling, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, so this is formal and informal. Both kinds of researches are coming in. So formal research,
Very nice.
that was with these countries, and informal, practical research, action research, like
And
Muhammad
qualitative
Rafiq
research for that
Yeah,
matter.
Muhammad Rafiq Tahir Sahib, he did it in ministry, and he might tell you about it, that called 3 different, students, one from the public sector, one from, this, our foreign certification, and one from madrasa stream, and they were given a contemporary topic, and they were just asked to discuss about it and come up with some, something after an hour or 2 or some. But after a few minutes they came and they said, come on, but we can talk about it.
Exactly.
So our thinking, our ideologies poles apart. And we
Your
cannot
job
talk
is so
about it.
interesting. I want to be part of it.
It is obviously very interesting, and that you're learning every single day as well. But very quickly, moving on to Asfandyar Sahib over here, and then we obviously want to come back to Rafique Sahib for a final wrap-up as well. Now, Asfandyar Sahib, since Suhail Sahib actually spoke about the Islamic curriculum as well, so I would want to know, the difference from the Islamic 2006 curriculum to the single national curriculum, number one. And then speaking about SDG 4, where we talk about inclusive and equitable education for all, quality education for all. Let's talk about that as well, number 2. And number 3, what's going to happen with all of those book publishers who are out there, who are publishing all different kinds of curricula? How are they going to be on the same page, or do you think that it's going to affect their business or income?
Okay, so those are three questions in a row. The last one, I think I'll sort of bounce off to Rafique Tahir Saab somewhat. So, I mean, he's the best person to respond to that. The first one,
Islamiyat.
the Islamiyat part.
From 2006 to SNC.
So, in SNC, we are looking at Islamiyat in a completely different perspective. Like I said earlier on, there are national imperatives and there are international commitments that we are tied to. You mentioned SDG 4 for that matter. But the entire ambit of the SDGs contains so much that overlaps with SDG 4 and it has anchors in there.
Okay.
The Islamiyat curriculum in this light has been revisited to make it more practical, to make it more relevant and to make it more efficient in imparting those Islamic values that students of our present century require.
Yeah.
So moving on from memorization, we have tried to put in elements that students pick up the content and apply it in their daily lives. As opposed to before, which was memorize this, memorize the translation, write it down. So moving from
Pakistanis would know it with the name of Ratta.
Ratta, yes. So that Ratta thing across the board, across the entire SNC, is being targeted for elimination.
Wonderful.
So that is target number one. Of course, it's a slow, gradual process. We start off with a certain chunk of assessment questions, which are higher order, which are critical thinking, which are analysis. And then we slowly ease towards a system where hopefully, inshallah, we'll have all analysis, all higher order thinking. So that is the key difference in the Islamiyat curriculum, real life relatability. Right? So, and within that we talk about everything that's in the SDGs, tolerance, social cohesion, respect for other religions, respect for other ethnicities and so on. A key feature within the entire ambit, you were talking about gender rights earlier on, and that has been layered in across Islamiyat, across all the languages, wherever it's applicable and where it would stand out. So for gender, I think we've moved on to showing girls in household chores while the boys are doing outside work, to the boys coming to join the girls and do household chores. So
For
removing
example, yeah, it's such a minor thing, but it will definitely create a ripple
Removing
effect.
stereotypes, I think.
It will hit
that's
here.
the-
It will hit
Definitely,
here, and
definitely.
definitely. Sorry, the second question related to the SDGs. So I think I've sort of overlapped
Yeah,
those
I think you've answered both.
Yes, but I want to flag again global citizenship again, which is SDG 4. And I want to talk about sustainable development, which is use of resources and actually your own lifestyle. So there's the element of lifestyle-based education. This
Life skills.
life skills-based education, which comes together to make you a better, a more responsive citizen.
Well, that's amazing.
And
But since
increasing your productivity as well.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Since we're very short on time, I'm going to move on to Rafique Sab, and I want you to present your closing note about it. But also, can you put a date to when you think this will be realized?
Yeah. You see, as earlier mentioned, the 3 phases. The first phase is completed now, and it will be implemented from this academic year, inshallah, from 15th of August, all over the country, and all stream of education.
Brilliant.
So it is done and it is ready. And but I would like to appreciate 2, 3
Please,
the
please.
stakeholder must.
Very quickly, sir, because we're
Oh
very
yes,
short on
yes.
time.
Just
Please.
few seconds.
Yes.
All the private sector, big chains, they have worked a lot with us. I'm not going to name out, but all the big chains, they're experts. They work with us from last or around more than 1 year. Day and night they sit in the National Curriculum Council and contributing that. Even the Cambridge, they have a lot of input they have given in the science, mathematics and English. They are working with us and they are helping us to make our curriculum at the international standard.
Okay.
So, and the Madaris, yes, the people from the Madaris and the Islamic studies, best Islamiyat is developed by them and agreed upon. No,
Conflict.
no difference, no conflict. So, and I'm thankful to all these people who work and even all the provinces and so on. This is the best curriculum.
Yes.
Let's, when you will see it will be implemented, the outcome will be a reflection which will be in a different way, in a different manner, inshallah. That will show that the single national curriculum, the dream, no, it's a true, and the nation is moving toward the one nation, one curriculum.
Exactly, and that will truly, ladies and gentlemen, be the reflection of the vision of Prime Minister Imran Khan as well, President
Absolutely.
Dr. Arif Alvi, and the entire team at NCC as well, ladies and gentlemen. Please pray that that all of the entire team succeeds as well. The first phase has been implemented successfully as well, and this is something which me and Shiza, our entire team, talked about as well. And this is the way forward. And I don't know what's going wrong. With
It's
my
all
throat
right,
as
I'll
well, so
take
let
over.
Shiza do it. Yeah.
Right, so, well, you know what, ladies and gentlemen, when over a period of few years, because the Prime Minister is always, he has, long-term vision, right? So when over a period of few years, Shazad, when your kids grow up, and inshallah, when I have my kids, and when they have a changed mentality and, conclusively, an entirely new society, that is the Riyasat-e-Madina that we're now talking about.
Yes.
And inshallah, you'll see that. If you still have any questions about the One Nation, One Curriculum, write us on our Facebook page to let us know with the name of.
Well, this morning.
On Twitter.
Well, this morning without a G.
On YouTube.
On YouTube, ladies and gentlemen, you look for PT World, and then the most viewed show on PT World, alhamdulillah, is World this morning.
Yes.
So, alhamdulillah.
And the repeat of this one you may catch at
5 past midnight. Till the next time, ladies and gentlemen, look after yourselves. There were a lot of people who used to say that, you should actually come up with some masala on your morning shows. I think that today is the show. Today
It's
is
masala.
the day. Yeah, today is the day that we're actually going to kind of look back on the kind of hard work we've been putting in, and I think that
Absolutely.
Amni
good.
jama pehana hai, wo aaj pehna diya humne,
Yes.
alhamdulillah. Look after yourselves. 1, 2, 3. Good
Good
morning.
morning. Take care.